Art Fight has a lot of rules, though because of how many there are at first glance, people don't always read them, or maybe struggle to, so I'm here to help. If you have questions, you're free to ask, but please refrain from complaining or harassing me about the rules. I did not write them, nor do I work for Art Fight. Everything is sourced directly from the official Art Fight website. Section 1. The General Rules of Art Fight. You must be 13 years old or older to register. You may only have one account. You may not share an account with anybody. You may not run an account on behalf of someone else. You may not have multiple accounts for different teams. Do not attempt to impersonate any site members, especially staff. Harmful or discriminatory content and behavior is prohibited. This includes transphobic and homophobic views, racist and xenophobic views, ableist views, sexist views, use of slurs, even if reclaimed. Sexually explicit content in any form is prohibited, even if cropped or censored. Fetish mining is prohibited, which Art Fight defines as soliciting fetish art without the knowledge and consent of the user involved. Fetish art of a character, intentionally suggestive or not, must have a suggestive theme filter. Content that is illegal to depict under United States federal law is not allowed in any form in Art Fight, even if cropped or censored. Do not spam or link any potentially malicious and or illegal content on the site. Art Fight does not allow certain harmful paraphilias, such as incest, pedophilia, necrophilia, bestiality, etc., to be depicted, discussed, or requested anywhere on the site. Depictions of characters younger than 18 years old in sexualized situations are not permitted. This includes characters who are physically and or psychologically under 18. Depictions of feral, non-anthropomorphic animals, characters, and sexualized situations are not permitted, regardless of sapience. All content must be altered according to the Art Fight filtering guides. Content requiring any filter may not be displayed in user icons, username, character names, or CSS, as they cannot be filtered. Content that contains gore, eyestrain, moderate nudity, and or sensitive content must be in a spoiler with a content warning if posted in profile text or comments. Content that contains extreme nudity and or suggestive themes is strictly prohibited on profile and comments, as it cannot be placed behind an 18+ filter. Should a character require a maturity filter, all their images must have the same filters applied. Minors are prohibited from sharing, receiving, or requesting art that contains extreme nudity and or suggestive themes. Content that may violate, harm, or threaten the safety or personal rights of anyone is not allowed. This includes publicly calling out, publicizing, do not interact lists. Please bring concerns directly to the moderator or use the report button. This includes, but is not limited to, doxing, disclosing personal information, disrespect, public callouts, do not interacts, mentioning specific users, and harassment. The only exception to the do not interact rules are age-related ones. Those specific age GNIs, such as under 15, do not interact, or 21+ do not interact, are prohibited. Users over 18 are considered adults. You are encouraged to use Art Fight's blocking feature to curate your online experience. Art Fight takes no responsibility for the risk associated with exchanging any personal information such as addresses. Minors should consult a parent or guardian before giving out any personal information. Section 2. Upload Rules. All artwork and characters posted to Art Fight must be your own, or ones you have explicit permission to use with credit. You may not directly copy someone else's work or use someone else's illustration as a component of your art. You may not include others' artwork in attacks, included but not limited to leaving reference images in the corner of your final piece. Photo backgrounds composed of free-to-use stock photographs are the exception to this rule, but are not counted for points. Copyrighted material such as logos, mascots, and album covers must be redrawn to be included in character images and attacks. Unaltered canon characters cannot be uploaded as characters or included in any artwork uploaded to the site, but can be drawn as objects, i.e. on a t-shirt, as a plush/doll, etc. Art Fight does not tolerate the use of AI-generated content. AI platforms we disallow include, but are not limited to, Artbreeder, Midjourney, DALL-E, Sora, ChatGPT, Gemini, Kronk, Claude, Copilot, Character AI, and DreamUp. Games that utilize AI-generated content in their character creators may not be used. Characters uploaded to Art Fight must be substantially original and capable of being rendered standalone in attacks. Non-characters, such as dividers, additional artwork examples, wish lists, locations, outfit ideas, and no characters attached, advertisements, etc., cannot be uploaded. Characters that link to off-site character storage sites, i.e. other characters, are permitted. Characters requesting designs, i.e. designing a character, are permitted. Extremely simple characters with no defining features or personality traits cannot be uploaded, e.g. a plain blue sphere. Object characters must be sentient to be uploaded on site. Characters that cannot be rendered within the scope of a rating system may be removed by a moderator. Attacks must be wholly original and must be made specifically for Art Fight during the duration of the event. Art from the Art Fight minigames, commissioned art, previous artwork, and the other art events may not be uploaded as an attack. Planning/thumbnailing attacks before the event officially begins is permitted. Any visual assets made before the event officially begins cannot be included in attacks, including sketches. You may not collaborate with others when making attacks. Attacks must be solely made by you. Bases, character creators, and doll makers may be used for character images, but must be credited. They may not be used for attacks. This includes websites like Picrew, Hero Forge, video game character creators, and other doll makers. This includes self-made bases and tracing over the same 3D model pose multiple times for attacks, even if you've posed the model yourself. Free-to-use photography may be utilized as backgrounds and mood boards in attacks and character images, but may not be counted for points. Crediting photography is strongly encouraged. Mood boards cannot be posted on their own for character images or attacks. Photo bashing and collages are only allowed in the background of attacks and character images. When used in an attack, it must be rated as pattern/abstract. Photo bashing, by our guidelines, refers to putting several textures, pictures, etc. together and using that as a piece. Images of minors may not be uploaded to the site. Characters and designs based on other medias, fandoms, canon characters, and alternative universes must provide credit to their inspiration on their page. This rule only refers to published works and culturally influenced media that have gained recognition online. You may not make an AU out of a small creator's character unless they explicitly allow it. Designs inspired by canon characters must be visually distinct from the original. You may not upload characters based on real-life people. The only exception to this rule are characters based on yourself or your pets. Characters based on real-life events and cultures must be portrayed respectfully. Characters associated with or visually inspired by real-life fascist movements, hate groups, genocides, mass murders, or serial killers are not permitted. School shooter characters are not permitted, even if they are entirely fictional. Blatantly disrespecting depictions of cultures are not permitted. Personifications of real or fictional countries, geographical regions, such as country humans, are not permitted. All art submitted as an attack must clearly display effort and respect the original character's design, form, and permissions. All art submitted as an attack must be recognizable as the original character. Extreme oversimplification or modifications are disallowed. Blatant disrespect of the recipient's permissions is prohibited. Mass character design attacks, attacks containing character designs for 2 or more users, must clearly indicate who each design is intended for. Mass attacks, attacks containing multiple characters, may be removed at moderator discretion if even one user's permissions are violated. Tracing and guidelining are allowed with restrictions, and all finished artwork must be transformative. Define tracing as drawing directly on top of a resource, line for line, with little to no variation made to the source material, such as posing. Guidelining refers to sketching base shapes and/or line on top of the reference, after the proportions of the underlying image, but does not preserve detail, resulting in conscious variation and changes from the source material. Either technique, the result of the image is completely free-handed. Please check our FAQ for more detailed definitions. Finished artwork should be transformative and should not result in an exact or near copy of the source material. Works that have no variation from the source material, such as extreme aligning line for line, are disallowed. When tracing or guidelining resources such as photography or basic 3D models that you do not own or have not been given explicit permission to use, you are strongly encouraged to provide credit, and you agree to make every effort possible to locate the resource TOS. Any resources used must be explicitly allowed for artist usage, and you may not use resources that explicitly disallow artist usage. You do not need to credit resources you own, such as photographs you have taken or posable 3D models. Any 2D illustration, including bases or drawn pose references, and any 3D model not intended for artist usage may not be traced or guidelined, but may be visually referenced for inspiration or posing. Section 3. Spirt of Art Fight. Do not sell or trade any designs you receive from others unless the creator gives you explicit permission to do so. Designs received from Art Fight may only be sold if you have created or commissioned additional artwork outside of the event. Creating a character to gain art with the intention of selling it is prohibited. Do not use art received or made during Art Fight for profit. This includes, but is not limited to, character sales, trades, and auctions. You may only ask the recipient of physical attacks to cover the cost of shipping, but not labor or materials. You may use art you have made for Art Fight as art examples when advertising commissions or art trades with the recipient's permission. Do not beg, manipulate, or harass others to interact with you. No user is obligated to attack back, follow back, leave comments, or otherwise interact. Point farming is prohibited. Attacks must be accurately rated according to our rating guide. Making large amounts of small, simple, and/or quick attacks is not considered point farming, as long as the characters are recognizable. We do not moderate the use of polished ratings. Being aggressive and combative is not acceptable. This includes keeping track of point totals or team memberships for the purpose of shaming users. Users may link to or advertise general art sales on their profiles. Commission sales must not include 18+ content. Users may not advertise anywhere outside of their own profile. This includes comments, character uploads, and attack descriptions. Art sales may not be used as a tax or bargaining chip, such as attack for payment or payment for attack. All attacks must be created for another user. Users may include their OC with others in attacks if the recipient allows it. Works that encourage attackers to draw solely for themselves, i.e., design yourself a character, are not allowed. Creating a design for another user, you agree to transfer the design to the recipient. Frequently asked questions. Art Fight starts July 1st, 6 p.m. UTC, and ends August 1st. You may not start attacks early. You are required to wait until the official starting time. Artists of any skill level are welcome. Digital art is not required to participate. All users are granted one free username change. Uploaded characters and attacks do not have to follow the team themes. How does Art Fight define tracing, guidelining, etc.? Tracing. Tracing is drawing directly on top of a resource, line for line, with little to no variation made to the source material. Guidelining, a form of referencing consisting of sketching basic shapes and/or lines on top of a resource to aid in proportions or to build anatomy. The rest of the artwork is completely free-handed. Guidelines capture the proportions and rough shapes of the underlying image, but do not preserve detail, resulting in conscious variation and changes from the source material. Visual referencing, following along to a visual aid during the artistic process without drawing directly on top of the resource. No basic shapes or lines are drawn on top of the visual aid. The reference material is kept off to the side. Drawn-based usage. Altering or coloring in a free-to-use, pre-made 2D outline to conform to the character's design, the base is still visible in the final work. Bases can include materials that is self-made or made by another artist. Posable 3D reference models. A 3D model of a body/object that can be used to create unique poses in order to use as a resource for drawn artwork. For 3D model creation, as it pertains to 3D attacks, not 2D artwork, please check here for conditions regarding this usage. Is it okay if I submit a character from an existing piece of media, or my headcanon alternate universe AU version of them? Fan characters and AU versions of canon characters are allowed, as long as they are visually distinct from canon characters of the media they are based on. However, you need to give credit to the original artist/media that you are taking inspiration from in the additional credits section of your character. Exact copies of a character from any media are not allowed. What is considered a significant visual change for a canon character? We consider an AU version of a canon character to be visually distinct from the source canon character as long as there is at least one noticeable visual change to the original design. Extremely minor detail changes, such as tweaks just the eye color, do not qualify as acceptable modifications. Please see the following non-comprehensive list for examples of valid changes. Changes made to the outfit and/or hair, length, style, or color. This includes adding clothes and/or hair to a character that lacks it canonically. Changing the character species, character type, e.g. human/humanoid to feral/anthro, and/or gender. Changes made to the character's gender must include modifications to the visual design. If the character has multiple canonical forms and/or outfit, you may not upload any of them unmodified as they are still considered canon. Swapping the color palette, adding prominent/notable scars and/or tattoos, adding mobility aids and/or prosthetics, multiple minor modifications, e.g. eye color plus small visible scars, visible design of characters with no canon detail, e.g. characters from books or podcasts. Can I submit my real-life pet or myself as a character? You may submit yourself as a character, However, minors may not share pictures of themselves under any circumstances on ArtFight. Please be aware of the risk in posting pictures of yourself online. Can I have 2 or more characters in one character slot? Yes. If someone attacks you, you can input the character ID, the number of times equivalent to how many of the characters are in the attack. Please keep in mind that there are currently no ways to move attacks made on one character into another character slot if you were to later separate the character into their own character slots. Is there a limit to how many characters I can submit? There is currently a limit of 100 active characters per account. If you have lots of them, we suggest uploading the characters you want art of the most. You can also upload 1 or more spare characters, that includes links to the rest, on a website such as Toy House in the description. People can then use these character IDs to attack the rest of your characters. You may also utilize our archive feature, which hides characters from the public view and your active character lists. However, this feature does not save images or descriptions. Be sure to back those up before archiving. What if I don't have a lot of characters, or only have 1 character? You can participate with as few or as many characters uploaded as you wish, up to the 100 character limit that is. The amount of characters you have on your account does not affect your participation in any way. Additionally, you may choose to participate with 0 characters visible on your profile, which means you would be able to attack others, but not be attacked by them. Content and filtering. General. When should I put a filter on a whole character? You should filter the whole character when their general design, thumbnail image, or written description contains something that needs to be filtered. For example, if the thumbnail of a character's page contains nipples, the entire character must be filtered for moderated nudity. Are minors allowed to put filters on their attacks? Yes, minors can use the body horror, gore, Eyestrain, and other sensitive content filters. They can use the moderate nudity filter, but should not be creating, requesting, or receiving any art that would need the suggestive theme or extreme nudity filter, as stated in Upload Rule 9. When I use the report button, will the person I reported know I reported them? No, only moderators can see who made the report. The reported user will not know it was you. Should I make a report even if I'm unsure if I'm right? Yes, please never hesitate to report something if you think it's in violation of our site rules. Make sure you have your filters set to show if filters have been applied, so as to not report something that is already filtered. Someone has multiple rule breaks. How do I go about reporting them? The ideal way to report multiple character breaks or filter misratings is to make one report where you link to all other attacks or characters in the comment section to explain what each rule break is. How do I set my filters to show if something has been filtered? On the settings page on your account under Site Image Filters, you can choose to filter, censor, or completely hide other characters or attacks that have been filtered. Gore. Do I have to filter scars? If the scars seem fresh or raw, or the drawing depicts other forms of gore, it must be filtered appropriately. Healed scars, including mastectomy and self-harm scars, do not need a filter. If a character's insides are not organs, but something like cake or crystals, those that need a gore filter if the insides are shown. If the insides are not mimicking any organs or blood, it does not need a filter. Do skeletons/bones/skulls need a filter? No. Bare bones do not need a filter if there is no gore drawn. Do amputations/stumps need a filter? Healed stumps or amputations do not need a filter. Raw-looking ones do. Body horror. Do extra limbs need to be filtered? No, but if they are distorted or appear uncanny, it needs a body horror filter. You can see examples on our body horror guides. How distorted should a character be to be filtered? This is up to the moderator's discretion, but usually we judge on how unsettling the distortion appears. A diagram of examples is on our body horror guide. There is a section for specifics about what nudity and suggestive things have to be filtered in the filtering FAQ. I will not be reading these out. If there is something you personally have to worry about, I suggest looking at it yourself. Eyestrain. Chromatic aberration is an effect where a blue and red layer of the artwork is applied and is shifted a bit to the left and the right. It creates an illusion of the image being crisper in some level of 3D. It can be harsh on the eyes and uncomfortable to look at. For this reason, chromatic aberration requires the Eyestrain filter. How slow does blinking/flashing have to be to not need a filter? If the flashing is less than 3 blinks per second, it should be fine. Sensitive content. Do guns or weapons need a filter? They do not, unless they are pointed towards a character's own head, which requires a sensitive content filter, or if they are bloody, which requires a gore filter. Does smoking a cigarette, marijuana/cannabis, or vape need to be filtered? No, all of these are fine without a filter. Does alcohol use need to be filtered? No. Alcohol use in bottles are fine without a filter. Attack rating frequently asked questions. General. What is a friendly fire? Friendly fire is when you attack someone on the same team as you. As of June 2025, friendly fire attacks receive 75% of the full points they would otherwise reward. Can I attack more than one person in one attack? This is called a mass attack. Just add all the characters you've included in your attack. Who you assign as the recipient doesn't matter, but please note that only that person will be able to officially revenge the attack. If the main recipient is from the opposite team, you will get points for all characters included, no matter the team each respective one is. If the main recipient is from the same team as you will get 75% of the full points, since this counts as friendly fire. If you want as many points as possible, please be sure to assign the main recipient to be someone on the opposite team as you. Is there a limit to how many characters I can include in one attack? Yes, you may only include 100 characters in a single attack. Is there a limit to how many attacks I can make? No, you can make as many attacks as you want. Do all my attacks need to be fully finished pieces? No. While attack ratings do scale based on level of finish, attacks of all kinds score points. Creating exclusively uncolored rough sketch attacks is a perfectly acceptable way to participate in the event. Why can't I edit my attack rating? You are prevented from editing attack ratings to preserve the correct score. If you believe you have made a mistake when you submit your attack, you can delete the attack and repost it with the correct rating. If the attack has already received comments and you don't want to delete it for this reason, please report your own attack. What is the battle ratio? A battle ratio, often shortened to just ratio, is the ratio of your attacks to defenses. A higher ratio means you've done more attacks than you've received, while a lower ratio means you've received more attacks than you have produced. What's the difference between attacks and defenses? Attacks are art made by you for other users, while defenses are art made by others for you. I've drawn the same character multiple times in one attack. How do I rate it? Add the character each time they are uniquely drawn in the attack. If you've drawn 3 separate half bodies of the same character in one attack, you can rate it as 3 half bodies of the same character in the attack information section. Are we allowed to include characters in our attacks that do not belong to us or the person we are attacking? Well, you do not need permission if the character is registered on Art Fight. You must have explicit permission from a character's owner to include them in attack if they are not on site. Please have this proof readily available in case a moderator asks for it. I'm not sure if I should mark my attack as polished. Polish can be used if you have spent extra time or effort on a piece, or if you are simply very happy with it and feel like it's some of your better work. How many of my attacks can I mark as polished? As many as you want, as long as you feel like you put in extra effort, extra time, or are extra proud of your work. Moderators may check for misuse if you have rated a majority of your attacks as polished. Otherwise, you do not heavily police it, as it is subjective. Can I add a canon character to my attack? Canon characters are allowed to be depicted in attacks and be counted for points as long as they have at least one visual change to their design. You are also allowed to include the canon character unmodified, however the following restrictions apply. The canon character cannot be scored for points. The canon character must be cropped from the artwork that is uploaded directly to ArtFight. You can then post the full artwork to an external image hosting website and link it in the attack description. You can also draw canon characters on accessories such as t-shirts or plushies, but they must be hand-drawn renditions. Original characters cosplaying or dressing as a canon character are also allowed. Are photos allowed for backgrounds? Yes, photos are allowed for backgrounds, but they must be rated as no background. The photo should be credited to the original creator / photographer / copyright owner if you have it. Photobash or collage backgrounds are also allowed, but must be rated as pattern / abstract. Can I make an attack that is literate / writing or a compose / music piece? Well, you cannot submit them as peer attacks. You can make a drawing / 3D model / craft and then attach writing or compose music in the description of the attack. This definitely counts for polish. Size ratings. I copy and pasted a character, but I gave them new outfits on each copy. Do they all count as full body? Copying and pasting art of a character multiple times, but only changing the outfit, will be rated as one full body and simple shaped for the additional outfits. Note the pre-made bases are not allowed. I have a generic character in my attacks. Can I get points for them? Yes, just add the ArtFight character you are drawing twice in the character field. This allows you to receive points for the generic character without having to create another profile. Make sure the character count represents the amount of characters you have drawn in the end. I made unique art for the thumbnail of my attacks. May I include this in my rating? You may if the artwork is truly unique, meaning you have not used a base to make several thumbnails. and it contains nothing reused from the main attack art. If you drew the head of the character on the thumbnail, you may add a headshot to the rating. How do I rate a 3-headed character? Add the same character to the attack more than once. For example, 1 full body and 2 headshots, or 1 half body and 2 headshots. What about extra limbs? Extra limbs do not get an additional size rating and are rated the same as a human character with 2 arms. If a character has missing limbs, for instance, they are missing their legs because of an injury or being born without legs, do I rate them as a full body? Yes, if you have drawn the whole character, then that is a full body. How should I rate my attack if the background is unshaded, but the character is fully shaded? Characters are the main focus of an attack. If a character's rating differs from the background, it is the character rating that takes precency over the background. In this case, the attack will be rated fully shaded because the character is fully shaded. If the background differs too much in quality, for example, the background is a sketch while the character is fully rendered, the background may be rated down to the scene element's background category. I spilled some color while making a traditional piece, and tried my best to clean it up. Do I have to rate it as rough color? We are aware traditional art is a bit unforgiving and has no undo button. If the spills aren't severe and you did your best to correct the error, it will still count as clean color or painted, if that was your intention. Is it okay to use mirroring or a symmetry tool? Yes. How do I rate a sketch page that has different ratings, both colored and uncolored character doodles? Rated according to the part that is the main focus of your sketch page. Note: if there are 10 plus character doodles on the same sketch page of varying ratings, either consider separating it into multiple attacks or rate the extra doodles as props. This is to avoid point abusing or farming. Are tattoo attacks on real skin allowed? How about fake skin? How do I rate it? Tattoos are allowed and are to be rated the same as a traditional drawing. You must get permission from the character owner before tattooing any real skin. But you can tattoo on fake silicone skin or fruit without asking for permission ahead of time. Can I draw a character as a prop/weapon/object? No, unless the object in question clearly resembles the character's existing design. An acceptable example would be drawing the character as a plushie or a food item that looks like them. You may physically create an attack based on an aspect of a character's design as an attack. Can I reuse a background I made during the event for multiple pieces? Yes, though the background may only be rated once. After being rated in the first attack, all other attacks that use the background must be rated as no background. 3D models. How do I upload a 3D model? You can take a screenshot of the model or render an image via the program you are using. You can also search YouTube for how to make a turntable video. This will not count as animation, unless the character itself is moving independently. Is it okay to use a base model for sculpting characters? Yes. Does using Paint 3D for Windows count as a 3D attack? Yes, as long as it is a 3D artwork. You can rate it in the 3D modeling category. May I use pre-made animations for my 3D model? Yes, but it has to be free to use, credited, and you cannot rate your attack as an animation since you did not do the animation work yourself. This also goes for reusing animations you have made yourself. Can I build a statue construction or flat pixel block piece in Minecraft as a 3D attack? Yes. Rate it under crafts and beads and brick builds. Can I make a Minecraft skin and rate it as 3D? Yes. Rate it as a 3D doll paint over in the 3D model section. If I make a 3D model and print on a 3D printer and then paint it IRL, would it be rated as a 3D model or as a craft? You can rate it as a 3D model and then count the painting as a self-produced 3D texture. Crafts. Can I submit a cosplay as an attack? Yes. Cosplay goes under paint over and cosplay. Keep in mind, you must create at least one major part of the cosplay by hand. Dressing up with clothing you already have will not count. Can I submit dollar squishy paint overs as an attack? Yes, this goes under paint over and cosplay. Can I rate my cutout traditional drawing as papercraft? It can only be rated as papercraft if there's a layering of multiple sheets of paper. A single sheet of paper with a drawing on it should be rated as a drawing. I made some attacks in the form of buttons, pins, badges, keychains, and/or laser cutting wood. Can I rate it as a craft? No, it should be rated the same as a traditional drawing. I made an attack using washi tape for the hair, clothing, and background. Do I rate this as a papercraft? No, it should be rated the same as a traditional drawing. If the washi tape doesn't stay within the lines, it's rough color. If you took the time to keep the tape within the lines/shape of the character, then it's clean color. I did a traditional painting on a canvas board/stretch canvas. Should this be rated as craft? No. Traditional paintings of any medium should be rated as a drawing. Can I mail crafted attacks to those I attacked? In the event someone wants to physically send their craft/traditional attack, Art Fight does not condone or take responsibility for any shared personal info. Exchange of addresses happen at the person's own risk. We do not recommend minors give out their addresses without permission from a parent or guardian first. Additionally, you may ask the recipient to cover the cost of shipping, but nothing else. Cost of material and labor does not fall upon the recipient. Can I make an attack out of an aspect of a character's design or craft an idea that belongs to the character? For example, D&D dice inspired by the character or a bracelet belonging to the character. You can do this as long as it resembles the character's design or is a belonging of the character. These kinds of attacks are usually rated as simple shaped character due to the size. This exception is only for crafts. Your attack must depict the character itself in all other categories. What do I rate a 3D printed attack as? If you modeled it in 3D, printed it, and painted it, you can rate it as a 3D with self-made texture. It does not get rated as a craft. Animation. My animation contains music or is too long to put in a GIF. Is there a way to submit it in a video? Not currently. Instead, you may upload a still image or a shorter GIF from the animation as the attack image, then link to the full video in the description of the attack. You may rate the attack based on the full video. What is a unique frame? A unique frame is a frame that is completely different from other frames. In a frame-by-frame animation, a unique frame is a redrawn frame. Can I add the animation check if only the background elements are animated and not the character? Yes, we have a category named Minor Animation/Animated Background, which covers this type of attack. Can I add the animation check to my spinning 3D model? Yes, this can be rated as animated background. Mass attacks. What is a mass attack? A mass attack is an attack with a lot of characters in it. There is no strict definition of a mass attack. It is a term created by the community over the years. How do I post a mass attack? You submit the attack as usual, but you can add an extra character with the Add Character button. You can add up to 100 characters to an attack. Any more than 100 characters cannot be added to your attack. This is the absolute character count limit. Since there is only one main recipient, how do I notify the other character owners that I included their character? They will be automatically notified in their character notifications. I made a mass attack containing characters from both teams. How will this affect the points? If the main recipient, the one whose username you input, is on the opposite team, you will receive full points for all characters, regardless of their teams. This also goes the other way. If the main recipient is on the same team as you, the whole attack will count as friendly fire and score 75% of the full points.
I took a really long time recording this. I'm a little sick in the outro. Ignore my voice. I promise I'm the same person. Anyways, I hope my video helped. Have a nice day.